line this morning with Michael Vuckovich. He is the superintendent of the Indiana Area School District. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Wonderful. It's good to have you on the air with us here today. Hey, we're getting toward the end of the school year, and decisions are going to have to be made soon for schools. Where do we go from here? How do we finish this year successfully? How do we move into the next year? Of course, we know that Indiana Area School Board will be discussing budgets tonight. There's so much uncertainty that it's really difficult for school administrators, school boards, business managers to really come up with something that is based on hard fact, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge at this time. I applaud the board for being calm and consistent in their decision-making and being deliberate in their decision-making as we go through just uncharted territories. And there's a lot of questions I'm sure the public has as well as we have, and we're just going to stay the course, look at the data, and look at what happens at the level above us, meaning Harrisburg, and help guide us in our decision-making.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do right at this point. And you understand that even plans made, say you decided on something tonight, that could change with new information in the next couple of days. But there is still a little bit of time to be flexible with that. Let's talk about the end of the school year first and how to bring it to a successful conclusion. What are some of the things that are going on in Indiana area?
Well, we're really excited. Our high school administration and teachers have worked quite diligently on doing a virtual graduation ceremony on June 5th, and there's a tentative hope for a formal graduation ceremony in August. So we're going through that process, looking at everything that we can do to make sure we make that time, which is an incredible time for our families and our kids, memorable and meaningful. But again, we're going to be subject to the laws and regulations from Harrisburg and Washington, D.C., so we're hopeful and we're wishful thinking that we could do something, but we're going to take it day by day to do everything we can to make that a meaningful experience. Also, we're looking at here in the next several days to send out information to our families about how families can pick up some of their kids' belongings that were left in their lockers. As you know, we were shut down on Friday, March 13th. Everything came really to a halt on that day. And we recognize that the kids may have some of their belongings still in school, and we're going to work on a plan to communicate that out to families. So even though the year ended with our kids not being in the building, we're going to do everything we can to make sure parents have access to what's going on and access to get their material, and do the best to make some of these events as meaningful and memorable as we possibly can within the guidelines of the law. And that's what, like you said, it's changing daily. So We're trying to watch it, monitor the best we can, and make an informed decision. And we recognize and surrender the fact that it may cause some consternation, some hurt to some of our families, but we are obligated to follow these certain laws, and we're going to continue to do that to the best of our ability. And it's changing so quickly, and we're going to try to monitor it as best as we can, sir.
It's the second full week of May, which means that we are now inside of a month of the end of the school year, and kids are still in the process of their education for this year, whatever year in school they happen to be. How has it gone now after another month of looking at the way kids are responding to online education, whatever other educational opportunities they have to take advantage of? How are things going?
Things are going quite well. Our kids are doing incredibly well for the most part, checking in, doing the work. Where I worry about is the stress it puts on our family. So it's tough when we have a lot of our teachers calling and checking in on our kids, but we have an obligation to do that, and I think it could be overwhelming for families. So we're trying to find that good balance of not being overwhelming and being supportive of our parents, as well as moving our kids forward to the best of our ability. Again, when you look at the stress, we talk a lot about the stress on students, which is it's real, it's there, and as well as our teachers and everyone else. But we also try to be cognizant and aware of the stress we put on our families, and do everything we can to make it meaningful for them, because we don't overwhelm them, and that's a big part of it too. I will tell you this, Todd, our families have done an incredible job working with us, being partners, and helping us get their kids through this difficult time. And it really is reflective of how great and special Indiana is. So we made some mistakes. We're going to continue to learn from them, continue to evolve, but the good far outweighs the bad.
I know as a superintendent and with the rest of the administration, your principals, your teachers, everybody involved in the education of these kids, normally when you get back in the fall, there's a review period where you're thinking back and trying to catch up and maybe re-educating them on some things they learned at the end of the previous school year. This year, your students are going to be coming back, and all of them will not have had the advantage of the final 3 months of the school year being in a classroom. So That's going to be a challenge, number one. But some will have a little bit more advancement and some a little bit less. And so that has to be for you quite the challenge, working with everybody to get everybody up to speed, not just as quickly, but as proficiently as you can when a new school year finally convenes and everybody's back in the buildings.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, first and foremost, we're going to adapt our curriculum to meet the needs of our kids. That's first and foremost. But we still want to push them, move them forward. We still want them to grow and excel. And we'd be, I think, disingenuous or remiss to say that when they come back, if our doors open in September, that everyone's be ready and on grade level ready. So we have a lot of work to do. And what we're doing to try to close that gap and mitigate that impact is we're going to offer some summer programming, probably most likely remote learning-wise, again, to help our youngest learners, to help, continue to try to close that gap. And then when they get back in the fall, we not only have academic needs that we're going to have to address, but we're also going to have some social and emotional needs that we're going to address. Our kids are going through a lot, not being around their friends. Who knows what they're going through with their personal lives, their families. They may have lost their job or their stressors at the house. So what we're going to do is go slow to go fast. We're going to put at the head of everything we do compassion and flexibility, and we're going to do the best we can to get our kids caught up because that's what they deserve and that's what's expected of us. And we're going to do that. But to say everyone's going to come back in September and everything's going to be fine, there's going to be some work to do on our end. And I know our task, our teachers, and our administrators are up to that challenge.
I know that you as a school administrator, the school board itself, everybody's working on how do you make it happen when classes are finally back in session in the fall, hopefully in the fall, and people are able to come back into the buildings. How do you stay socially distanced if there is if there are still restrictions in place? And there's some pretty innovative plans that you've been looking at, looking at the results of the last school board meeting.
Yeah, we're looking at 9 different plans, and I got to tell you, Todd, they all may be worthless. We may be just closed and that decision taken made for us. I don't know, but I think at this point our community is owed the fact to know that we're looking at various scenarios that places the safety and wellness of all their kids first, and that's exactly what we're doing. But we don't know what direction the state's going to go or the federal government. So in our minds, it's prudent to start working these things out, to start vetting them, looking at the pros and cons. And what you're going to see over the next week and a half is we're going to issue a survey to our families to get their input and see what they feel is important, to see how they think the school should be shaped and what their comfort level of sending their child back is, and that matters, right? They're a valued partner, and we want to give them a voice and we want to include their input because that'll matter what decision we make. So again, we're going slow to go fast, looking at 9 different options, vetting them all out, looking at the pros and cons of each of them, and then ultimately going to have some input from parents because we think that's absolutely critical, and as well as we're going to stay within the compliance of the law and follow the edicts that are given us by the state and federal level, and we'll see how that goes.
Are there great differences in the fact that you've got a junior high and a senior high school, but then you've got 4 elementary schools in terms of working with different age groups when you get back into the classroom? Does the elementary require more or less planning because of the fact that there are 4 of them?
Well, I think for me, when you look at the age level, who's better suited for remote learning, I think that tends to the secondary level. What I miss severely, besides seeing our kids every day in their hallways, is that direct instruction that I think is important, key to 12, but most importantly, at the earliest levels. When you look at the way we instruct our kids in the area of literacy and social emotional learning, those skills are done through relationships, and it's quite difficult to have a relationship via a Zoom meeting or a Google Hangout. So I think when you add all those things up, they compound, and there's inherent struggles at each level. But right now, I think our earliest learners need our teachers the most and need that direct instruction the most. And again, that's not to mitigate saying our secondary kids do not. It's just saying at this point, I think when you look at that early learning and the gift and value of socializing with others, play, the importance of play, as well as the academic side of it, it's really, really needed at the earliest levels right now. Absolutely,
especially with those youngest kids. That's their first time for many of them that they've ever been around other kids. And
you're absolutely right, Todd. And they learn how to socialize. They learn how to interact. They learn how to solve problems and communicate and collaborate with one another. That's what the world needs. And they need opportunities to do that, to practice that. And when you don't have it, it sometimes makes it difficult. Now, our teachers have done an incredible job finding alternate ways to do that. But I miss seeing the kids, that face-to-face interaction. When you look at the heart of great teaching, it's based on relationships. And I think right now that's more needed than ever.
I was talking last week with Jeff Souls from Blairsville-Salzburg. He said you as a group of superintendents continue to hold as many meetings as you possibly can to share some information. What are those meetings like, and what are some of the ideas that are being tossed around?
Yeah, right now what we're doing is we're just going through and vetting the different scenarios that each school feels comfortable with, as well as the different protocols that go with that. For example, we have a meeting on Wednesday, and the focus of our meeting on Wednesday is going to talk about the health protocols that we may implement in the area of the busing, general facilities, as well as the nursing offices, and see what those look like. So we have some sharing of best practices, consistency across the county, and as well as we have a better understanding. I think when you put 5-10 people together, it's better than work in isolation, and I think this is reflective of that. None of us went through this before, and it's important that we all work together to provide our kids a safe environment. Before we even get to academics, I think our parents are going to want to know that our schools are safe. And that's what we're working on right now as a team, to try to really vet those different options and protocols out. So everyone has a voice. There's some input from all stakeholders, and I think we're more powerful together than we are working in isolation.
Yeah, you pretty much have to break it down the school day from the moment you get out of bed in the morning and everything that happens between then and when you get to bed back at night, because all of them have issues related to educating the kids, and all those different minds getting together has to be a good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's reflective. I'm so appreciative of all the other area leaders, all of us working together. It's really a nice process that really brought us all together to problem solve and work this and vet these different solutions and ideas out together. And what's nice about it, it's a relaxed environment where no idea is criticized or condemned, but it's welcomed. And we try to vet those out and look at the pros and cons, and that's exactly what our families deserve at this point.
All right. Well, it's a good thing. It's a hard challenge, and our area schools are stepping up to meet it. Mike Vuckovich, thanks again for being with us this morning.
Hey, likewise. Take care, and anytime you need me, I'm here, sir.
Good shape. Thank you. Thank you.